Thanks for being here, everyone. We are excited to get started. We, had two main goals this year. One is was to win the ACC. The other one was to win a national championship. And it's taken a lot of work to put ourselves in a position to have a good seed. And the team is excited to get started, and we're healthy and ready to get going.
Dan, what feels different about this group going into the tournament compared to the other tournament teams you've had, especially recently?
Well, every year is different. If you look at our, the starting lineup we've been doing the last couple games, there's only two returning starters. So I think there's more players that haven't been through it on this team. I think this is the most physical team we've ever had in terms of, and I think we're showing that lately with how we're blocking, and so I guess those are probably the top two, probably the most physical and then the most new players to this experience.
Dan, were you surprised with the number one seed? I mean, I feel like with the way you scheduled and record overall wasn't super surprising. Was there any sort of doubt coming into the selection show that you might?
Well, there's always doubt in the selection show, but I thought we'd be, top four based on how well we did within the top 25.
Bree, you were honored as Defensive Player of the Year. First in the program history, what was your reaction? Were you surprised at all, and just how do you feel about it?
Well, honestly, yes. I was a little surprised, but then people told me where I was ranked, and it made sense. But it's just special to have that. I think that, well, obviously it's never happened for Pitt, and it's never happened for me, but I'm very grateful for that award, and it's not me alone, it's the whole team that got me that.
Bree, how would you sum up your season overall from 3 months ago, your hands bandaged, to now you're feeling healthy, ready to go?
I mean, yeah, it was a challenge. The way I started off wasn't, ideal, but I got used to the little cast on my hand, and then it went away. Now I'm just with buddy tape, but I think it's going well. I think that blocking wise, it's definitely just been something that I've wanted to get better at this entire year, and Kelley and Fish have helped me a lot, just get my hands in a good place.
Olivia, I'll ask you about winning Player of the Year as well, but I'll also add, what perspective do you have coming into this tournament that you might not have had before?
Yeah, that's a good question, actually. I don't know, I feel like this tournament is different. I feel like this team is different, especially because we got the experience at the beginning of the year. I feel like just going through something that felt so much like a Final Four, where we got the immediate pressure before even really playing with each other, so I feel like having to adapt in that situation and how much we've grown since then just shows how much talent and grit this team has, because I feel like that was just a really tough way to start our season, but I think we responded really well from the two losses, and we've gone on to have one of the best seasons that we've ever had, and I just feel like that's definitely going to continue into the tournament.
Bree, how do you think this team's done so far? Olivia mentioned just responding to losses. Obviously last year you guys only lost one game, but this year a little bit more losses around on the road. So how do you think you guys have responded overall after those losses?
I think really well. I think each loss has taught us something. This team was very, very new, being put together, and so we had to gel and grind through those losses, and I just think overall it's going to help us in the end. We had a lot to learn, and I don't know, all my teammates, I had to learn each of them through each of those experiences as a leader, and I think that just helped me and learn how to lead this team to where we're at now.
Dan, you've talked a lot about your team's depth this year, used a bunch of frequent lineups. What have you learned about how to utilize that coming into the tournament?
Well, the main thing is that I can go to the bench and we can get a lift, but I think we're settling in a little bit with lately with who our serving subs are probably going to be and what our blocking subs would probably be, and so that's been, I think the last couple of weeks we've made some realizations that's made our block a little bit better.
Dan, what did you think about the quadrant overall that you're in? Just the teams that are in it. Obviously, SMU number 2, but of the other teams that you'll be potentially face.
I mean, my first thought was I thought it was fair. I thought, overall the committee did a good job, and my second thought is more just a reminder to the team and myself that like every team here's good. So like sometimes, every year there's a game that you think is going to be, oh, that team will win, and then they're in 5 sets, and so just a reminder of that. It doesn't really matter what it looks like on paper, that everyone's playing for their lives and is going to give their best.
Olivia, this team doesn't have a lot of NCAA experience, but you guys do have, well, some of you do, but you guys do have a lot of players who have played for national teams in other big environments. What kind of unique competitive maturity does that bring, even without the actual NCAA tournament experience?
I think it just shows that, one, we know how to compete at a high level, so just those experience bring a high level to our gym every single day. And then also, obviously, on these teams, you have to be adaptable because USA teams, like, you're playing with people who you haven't played with, and then you just have to adapt to that. So I also feel like being able to adapt to a new team also helps you adapt to games where you might not be playing your best, but you still have to find a way to pull through and win. So I feel like that's just something that this team has been really good at this season, and I think that's definitely going to be something that helps us in the tournament.
Bree, does it feel a little bit bittersweet this is your last NCAA tournament?
100%. This entire last 3 weeks, I've just been like, oh wow, the end is staring me in the face. But I'm so grateful. This team has been amazing, and I cannot wait to see what we do in the next few weeks.
Bree, when you think about, all this team has gone through, not even just since August, but taking it back to January, the roster turnover, the injuries, all that, what does it say about your team's ability to adapt and grow, and how proud are you of all of that?
I think that when we started, it definitely didn't look like where we're at now. We've definitely grown a lot over, especially this summer. We had pretty much everyone come in around that time, so that time really helped us, and we wanted to be there, which makes a huge difference. If you want to be where you want to be, then you're most likely going to grow in that area. But I just say I'm proud of this team. It took a lot of grit and a lot of hours, tears, sweat, just doing mini groups with each other, getting to know each other. I just think everyone has put in 110%, and that's why we're where we're at.
Dan, how do you feel like the conference sort of fared in getting some seeds, or just, Georgia Tech and North Carolina getting some of the last at-large bids as well?
Yeah, I was really happy that, that they got in. I thought it was deserved, but still, they were on the bubble, and it's just continues to show what a great conference we have.
Olivia, how are you helping this lineup? So many people who haven't been in the tournament, but what are you saying to them? How are you preparing them? Bree too, just because you guys have been through it.
Yeah, I feel like just before the game, we tell them just to take 1 point at a time. Obviously, your goal when going into a game is to win, but you can't go into the game thinking about the win because it takes a lot of work to get there. So I think we just talk about taking every point at a time and limiting their service runs. And I feel like by focusing on every point individually, it kind of helps you not get in your head, because then you're not focusing on the previous point, you're just focusing on the next one. And I feel like that is something we really try and instill, especially because a lot of people are new to this team, so it's really easy to get insecure. I feel like that's just a normal thing in volleyball, so I feel like if we just tell everyone to stay engaged, it's really easy for this team to stay together in hard moments.
Bree, where do you think this team has grown the most since your first game against Nebraska to now? It might be hard to pinpoint, but just one area you think, we're way better than we were when we started.
I know what I want to say. I'd probably say communication and small conflicts, which is something we do on this team. That's something that I genuinely think will make or break a team, because if you can't communicate with your teammates, then you're not able to grow, you're not able to push your teammates, or even say things that, we're women, so if we say something in a certain tone, if you don't have that respect and confidence or trust in that person, then you can't get much better. And I think in that aspect, it's gotten a lot better.
Dan, number 1 seed, another threat for the Final Four, trying for 5 straight. How has the identity of this program, changed from that first Final Four to now, or has it changed?
I think people expect it more now. I think the expectations externally are higher, than year one, but internally it hasn't changed a lot. We're just trying to get better every day, and that's something I like a lot about this team. I think there's still some meat on the bone. I feel like we're still getting better, and they touched on it, but it was a new group, and not even just on the court, but like they could tell you better, but I think it's a really tight-knit group right now, and it wasn't like that in August 1st. There's a lot of girls that didn't know each other, and so these two have worked really hard on and off the court to make the team culture great.
I want to ask, what do you guys think you guys did well to help, facilitate that kind of tight-knit group?
I mean, well, I did touch on like small group stuff. I think Liv did better with like getting us together and actually doing fun stuff together and getting to know each other better. But like I was trying to do more of the aspect like what will be like on the court. And earlier this year, I think it was right before Louisville or after Louisville, at their place, like we did this small group thing about like it was a question that just vulnerability, like that was my biggest thing, is make people vulnerable, and like I think that genuinely helped. Everyone was actually like vulnerable, and I don't know, all of them were just like, we really appreciate you doing that because we got to see a side of each other that we hadn't seen yet.
Dan, I mean, obviously you know UMBC pretty well, know Casey pretty well, to like just be able to face sort of a familiar team in the first round, just have that sort of relationship there.
Well, yeah, we know that they're going to be well coached, and I think we obviously followed their program, and they didn't start out the way they wanted, and but they're definitely figured it out and are playing their best volleyball of the year, and I think they're it seems like they're pretty balanced. They have all their hitters can kill the ball, yeah, we're expecting them to literally come out swinging.
Bree and Olivia, you guys have fallen short the past couple of years, but how do you use that as fuel personally to attack each game and get through the tournament, and how do you express that to some of the girls that weren't here, if you do use that?
I try not to think about it because obviously those were past years and we're a different team now, but I do sometimes think back and just know to myself that like we are capable of doing it, and we know how it feels to put in the work to get there. So I feel like just having that experience and telling the team like, yeah, it's gonna be hard, but like we all know that if we all put in the work and equally buy into this process as much as everyone else does, like we're gonna get there. So I feel like it's just a good like reminder of what we can do.
That's pretty good. I mean, the only thing I'd say is I kind of love that this team is new, because a lot of them haven't experienced losing in a Final Four a few times. And so, although it's going to be hard, like I feel like they can just go in with a clean slate, being like, this is my first time, and wanting to go after it even harder. So, for sure.
Any last questions?
Yeah, Dan, what about this team makes you think that you can get past that semifinal round?
Well, we got to get to the semifinal round. What I'll say is, and with that, keep showing up, Pittsburgh. We need you. We need you at each round. We want that home court advantage. We have lost. How many games did we lose this year? 4. So, we lost the first game of the year to Nebraska. We weren't that far off of forcing a 5th set. And then all the other games we've lost have been nail biters, and quite frankly, a lot of those we were better statistically. And so I think the main takeaway is that we can beat anyone. And then also just I've said this before in other interviews, but like this team, when we're playing our best, is incredible. I know that sometimes our lower level hasn't been as high as I wanted it, but like us at our best, there's practices, and Liv can tell you the same thing. Well, there's no question we're the best we've ever been. So our top end is very high.